Hey, what's going on guys? So I just came back from seeing Slaughterhouse Rulez and overall I did enjoy it. But you know, it's not anything that great. So this film, I only found out recently that it was actually, you know, a thing, because I've seen like little to no marketing from this film, like at all. But I don't know why, this film basically just popped up out of nowhere. So this film is basically about this kid called Don Wallace, who is sent to a British boarding school called Slaughterhouse. Yes, that is the actual name. When he gets there, it pretty much sucks for him, you know. He has to hang out with, you know, the lower status pupils, you know, the nerds of the school, which in this case, they're called the Sparta. You already know there's going to be a joke about that. You know, they take orders from the higher up pupils and they call themselves the gods. However, near the school there is a mysterious pit nearby a fracking site, which basically spawn out like these monsters. I guess what made me want to see this film the most was the fact that this was like a Nick Frost and Simon Pegg movie. You know, they starred in really funny films, most commonly known for Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy. So yeah, I love their work, but I'm just gonna say this right now. This film is not about them at all. The focus here is entirely on like the kids. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are pushed to the side for this one. But anyway, the main protagonist for this film is this teen called Don, played by Finn Cole. And he's basically new to this like new environment, you know, coming from like a more casual background to more of like a posh atmosphere. Acting wise he did good, but the character itself was kind of flat though. I didn't really find him that interesting, and I don't know, I just felt he was just kind of bland. Same for Clemise in this film. She was only really there to be the love interest, and that's about it. There's this guy called Willoughby, played by Asa Butterfield. You know, the guy who almost made it to play Spider-Man. I did find this guy likable at least, you know. He kind of had these snarky and sarcastic lines, which I thought was pretty funny. Probably my least favourite character in the whole film was this guy called Clegg, played by Tom Rhys-Harris. Because fam, this guy was so one note and cliche, it was actually painful. He basically plays like this snobby, pompous kid who like orders everyone around and has like a grudge on the protagonist because, you know, he does. I mean, there's no reason why he's like that, you know. You could probably say, oh, since he's been at the school longer and in, you know, the upper status, I guess the privilege has gone to his head and he's just exploiting his power on the others. But, you know, that's kind of reaching, you know. It's not like they showed that, you know. I'm just making interpretations. But do you know what this guy is trying to be like? Draco Malfoy and Joffrey.
You're talking to a king!
And especially Malfoy. The difference is with these characters is that, yeah, you hate them, but you kind of understand why they are like that. This guy is just a twat for no reason. Let's talk about Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Simon plays a school teacher, Meredith Houseman. I thought he was funny in the film, you know, as Simon Pegg usually is. The only thing is that he kind of has this side plot with him talking to his wife, who takes care of like children in a foreign country. And you kind of see like Meredith like break down and is like mad depressed over this because he's like worried that she'll like cheat on him while she's away. Like, this was kind of interesting, but the thing is that it could have been explored a little bit further and it felt kind of rushed. Nick Frost plays Woody, who plays this messed up drug dealer. He was probably like the best parts of the film because of, you know, how over the top he was. It's just a shame that he didn't really get much screen time. This is a comedy movie, and for the most part I did find this film pretty funny. You know, nothing that had me rolling on the floor or anything, but at least they actually tried with the comedy. It gets really gory in the climax of the film and it was great. For the monsters, they are mostly done with CGI. By itself it wasn't that great, but it was good for what this movie is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's distracting or out of place. And it looked like they probably did the best they could have done, you know, with the budget that they had. And I also did appreciate they didn't resort to CGI all the time. For quite a lot of the film they did use practical effects and animatronics, which just looks more real and scary in my opinion. The score was fine, nothing memorable, but it did what it had to do. The cinematography was okay, the set design was good. Oh, I should probably talk about the directing. Do you know what this film felt like? It felt like a mix between Harry Potter and Attack the Block.
That's an alien, bro, believe it.
With like a Shaun of the Dead kind of style-ish, which I guess would explain the higher and lower students, and Clegg, which are like similar to that of Harry Potter, and Nick Frost's character and the monsters themselves, which are kind of similar to that of Attack the Block.
Welcome to the end, brother.
You know, I went into this film expecting to have a fun time, and for the most part I did. It's just that I really didn't care for Don and the romance subplot, you know. Had Don just been a little bit more interesting, I probably would have cared for him a bit more. His relationship with Will as like the friend was okay, but again felt a bit rushed. Like, there is a part in the film, yeah, where you get the generic liar reveal and, you know, they split up and they become friends again. And I'm just like, okay, that's a cliche in itself, but it really wasn't needed because they split and become friends again in less than a minute, I swear. It probably wasn't like that, but it felt like that. And to be honest, if you're gonna rush it anyway, you might as well just have that cut too, and just like have more screen time for Nick and Simon. But to be honest, yeah, what you're really coming for this movie is just to see a bunch of school kids fight monsters. And for the last act of the movie, you definitely get that. It's not a long movie either, it did feel quite short. Overall it is enjoyable, but I think films like Attack the Block and Shaun of the Dead are much better. But I guess for what it is good, just not great. But yeah, that's basically it. So what do we have next? I don't know if I'm actually gonna see this. We'll see. Okay, a new film by Steve McQueen with a good cast too. Yeah, definitely gonna go see this one. But yeah, that's basically my review on Slaughterhouse Rulez. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell. Have a good day and peace.